What if I told you that the biggest lie ever sold to women in the last 50 years is finally collapsing in real time? And most of them still don't even realize it yet. What if I told you that millions of men in their prime earning years have quietly, calmly, and permanently walked away from the entire dating marketplace? And the ripple effects are about to hit like a tidal wave nobody saw coming. And what if I prove to you, step by step, that this isn't some temporary tantrum or incel phase, but the single most predictable consequence of decades of deliberate choices, and that by the time today's video is over, you'll understand exactly why these men are never, ever coming back. Stick around to the very end because the final piece of evidence is going to hit harder than anything you've heard in years. If you want more raw, no filter, angry guy content, drop the second it goes live. Smash that like button right now. Share this video with every man you know who needs to hear the truth. Subscribe. And most importantly, click the bell and select all so YouTube can't hide these videos from you. Also, if you're serious about protecting everything I talk about on this channel, protecting your assets, learning how to actually grow real wealth in this collapsing economy, and mastering crypto the right way, go check out Angry's Crypto Academy right now. The link is in the description. Thousands of men are already in there building generational wealth while the rest of the world argues about nonsense. And if you're enjoying these videos and you want to keep the angry guy caffeinated and making more of them, there's a Buy Me a Red Bull link in the description. Everything keeps the truth coming. Appreciate every single one of you who throws one in the tank. Let's get into it. Picture this. It's a Friday night in any major city in the Western world. There's a big, heavily advertised singles mixer happening downtown. The venue spent thousands on promotion. The women bought new outfits, got their hair done, posted stories about how excited they are to finally meet someone decent. The event starts at 8. By 8:30, the room is packed wall to wall with women in their late 20s, 30s, and early 40s, all dressed to the nines, phones out, drinks in hand, scanning the room. And the men? You can count the actual single men in their age on one hand, maybe two if the event is lucky. The organizers are running around in panic mode, trying to figure out what happened. The women are whispering to each other, where are all the guys? And the few men who did show up are either already coupled up and just there with their girlfriends, or they're significantly older, or they're the same 5 guys who show up to every single one of these events because they still haven't figured out the game has changed forever. This isn't one city. This isn't one event. This is happening in New York, Miami, Los Angeles, London, Toronto, Sydney, you name it. Event after event, night after night, the same story. Women are showing up in record numbers, and men in their late 20s through their 40s have simply vanished from the entire single scene. They're not at the bars. They're not at the mixers. They're not on the apps anymore, except to scroll for 5 minutes, 1 minute and laugh. They're not asking women out. They're not sliding into DMs. They're not paying for dinners. They're not sending Cash App requests to random girls with birthday week in their bio. They're gone. And the women who spent the last 2 decades screaming at the top of their lungs for men to leave them alone are now standing in empty rooms wondering why it suddenly feels so quiet. And the best part? The men aren't angry anymore. That's what's driving women absolutely insane. These men aren't raging in comment sections. They're not making thirst posts. They're not begging. They're not even arguing. They're just peacefully, quietly living better lives than they ever had when they were chasing women who treated them like walking ATMs with emotional punching bag privileges. They're at home, or at the gym, or on a fishing trip with their boys, or building a business, or stacking crypto, or playing Elden Ring on the new OLED with the surround sound cranked, drinking a cold one, and realizing for the first time in their adult lives what actual peace feels like. And the women who spent years calling these same men toxic, broke, short, creepy for saying hello are now making TikToks with tears in their eyes talking about where have all the good men gone. Let me say that again so it sinks in. The same women who bragged about being independent, who said, I don't need no man, who laughed at men for wanting commitment, who created entire private Facebook groups to warn each other about trash men, who turned dating into a pay per view sport where the man has to spend hundreds of dollars just to be ghosted after the appetizer. Those exact same women are now in full blown panic mode because the men finally listened. We listened. We heard you loud and clear. You said, leave us alone. So we left you alone. You said, we don't need you. So we stopped showing up. You said, masculinity is toxic. So we took our masculinity and went home. You said a real man would pay for everything and never ask for anything in return. So we stopped paying for everything. And now that the consequences have arrived right on schedule, suddenly it's men ain't men no more. And y'all don't know how to court. And why won't anyone approach me in public? You can't make this stuff up. You spent decades telling men, directly and indirectly, that their natural behavior was wrong, that sitting with their legs apart on the subway was a hate crime, that looking in your general direction at the gym was harassment, that saying you look nice today to a coworker was grounds for an HR complaint, that wanting a woman who takes care of her body and brings peace to the table made him a shallow, controlling monster, that expecting loyalty after years of investment made him insecure and jealous, that being six figures deep in student loans for a communications degree while demanding a man make six figures was totally reasonable, that keeping a man's face out of another man's lap was controlling my body. You criminalize normal male behavior, then monetize male pain, then monetize male attention, then acted shocked when men finally did the math and realized the juice was no longer worth the squeeze, not even close. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud, but everybody already knows is true. Men and women are not the same when it comes to time and options. A man at 35 is just hitting his prime. His money is going up. His status is going up. His confidence is going up. His body can still be in peak shape if he wants it to be. And his options, if he has his life together, are wider than they've ever been. A woman at 35, the wall is not a myth. It's biology doing what biology has always done. The eggs aren't getting any younger. The attention from high value men isn't coming like it did at 23. The likes on Instagram aren't hitting the same. The power she had in the marketplace when she was the hot young thing at the club is evaporating in real time. And for the first time in her adult life, she's the one doing the chasing. And the men she used to reject without a second thought, they don't even see her anymore. They're not bitter. They're not hating. They just don't care. And there is nothing that terrifies a woman who grew up on limitless options more than a man who has finally realized he has options too. And she's no longer one of them. So now we're seeing the great awakening in real time. Men are waking up by the millions and asking one simple question. Why would I sign up for that? Why would I volunteer to be disrespected, financially drained, emotionally manipulated, legally jeoparded in divorce court, publicly shamed for existing, and then called insecure if I dare speak up about any of it? Why would I trade my peace, my money, my time, my mental health, and my future for a woman who is trained by social media to believe her presence alone is a gift from God? Why would I date a woman who thinks loyalty is controlling, commitment is rushing, and paying her bills is the bare minimum? Why would I involve myself with a woman who has a higher body count than a war movie, but gets offended if I ask about her past? Why would I chase a woman who spent her prime years giving the best of herself to men who wouldn't even text her back and now wants me to wife her up and pay her debts because you're supposed to be the prize now? The answer for more men every single day is I wouldn't and I won't. So they're walking, not stomping, not screaming, not crying, just calmly, confidently walking away. And the silence is deafening. Women are now flooding social media with videos that all sound exactly the same. Men don't approach anymore. I'm 29 and I've never had a man buy me flowers. Why are men so intimidated by a strong, independent woman? I make six figures. and men are broke and lazy. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. Dating is impossible now. I went to Target in a sundress and nobody even looked at me. And the comments are pure comedy. Thousands of men writing the same thing. We're right here. You just don't see us because we stopped playing a game that's rigged from the jump. You told us to leave you alone, remember? You wanted equality. You got it. Pay for your own dinner. We're not intimidated. We're just not thirsty anymore. And the coping mechanisms are next level. Suddenly, every woman who spent 10 years saying, I don't need a man, is now saying, well, I don't need a man, but it would be nice to have one. Suddenly, the same women who bragged about sleeping with half the city are talking about waiting until marriage with the guy who's supposed to save them. Suddenly, high value men are the only ones they're interested in, but they define high value as whatever benefits them in the moment while bringing absolutely nothing but attitude and debt to the table themselves. Meanwhile, the men who walked away are living like kings on half the stress. A one-bedroom apartment, a paid-off truck, money in crypto, going to the gym, eating steak, sleeping 8 hours a night, traveling with the boys, building businesses, and not 1 ounce of drama. No arguing about where the money went. No coming home to an attitude because she had a bad day on TikTok. No waking up to 47 text messages because you liked the wrong picture in 2019. No explaining why you don't want to raise another man's kid while she tells you the past is the past. Just peace. Sweet, glorious, hard-earned peace. And the best part? These men aren't lonely. That's the myth that's dying the fastest. Women were sold this idea that if a man doesn't have a woman, he's miserable and desperate. Turns out the opposite is true. Men are minimalist by nature. We don't need much to be happy. A purpose, some good friends, some money in the bank, a little bit of freedom, and we're thriving. Women need constant validation, constant attention, constant drama, constant newness. Men just need to not be disrespected. And once men remove the disrespect from their lives, they realize how little they actually needed a relationship in the first place. So now women are experiencing something they never thought possible, being ignored by men they used to have on a leash. And it's breaking their minds because here's the part that almost nobody is willing to say out loud, but every single man who has walked away already knows in his bones. The modern dating marketplace was never a free market. It was a rigged casino where women held all the chips, the house always won, and men were told that losing was actually being a real man. You were told that spending thousands of dollars on dates with no reciprocity was courting. You were told that accepting disrespect was being the bigger person. You were told that letting her keep a roster while you stayed loyal was trust. You were told that paying off her credit cards while she called you broke to her friends was stepping up. You were told that marrying a woman with a higher partner count than a tour bus was not judging her past. And the second you questioned any of it, you were called insecure, controlling, toxic, fragile ego, low value, or everybody's favorite, you just can't handle a strong woman. So men stopped arguing. They just watched. They observed. They took notes. They let pattern recognition do what gaslighting never could. And once a man sees the pattern clearly, truly sees it, there is no unseeing it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't unring that bell. Once he realizes that 80% of the drama in his life came from one source, and that source was never grateful, never loyal, never peaceful, and never actually punished him for giving more, the decision becomes painfully obvious. Remove the source, protect your peace, keep your money, keep your time, keep your sanity, walk. And the moment millions of men made that decision at roughly the same time, the entire system began to collapse like a house of cards in a hurricane. Now women are running around with their hair on fire, making the same 5 videos on repeat. Men don't want to date anymore. Men are afraid of independent women. Men only want Instagram models. Men won't court anymore. Men have unrealistic standards. And every single one of those videos gets flooded with the same calm, surgical responses from men who used to be thirsty and are now completely at peace. No, we still want to date. We just don't want to date you. No, we're not afraid of independent women. We're afraid of entitled women who think independence means never having to be pleasant. No, we don't only want models. We want pleasant, feminine, loyal women who don't treat us like a resource to be drained. Yes, we have standards now. The standard is peace. If you can't bring that, we're good. And the cope is reaching levels that shouldn't even be possible. They're now saying things like, well, if men don't want to date us, then we'll just date each other. Cool, go ahead. Nobody is stopping you. We'll just get cats. Already happening. Vet clinics are reporting record profits. We'll just freeze our eggs and have kids on our own. Great. Single motherhood rates are already through the roof, and fatherless homes are the single biggest predictor of every social pathology we have. Enjoy those statistics in real time. We'll just focus on our careers. Fantastic. Corporate burnout and antidepressant prescriptions for women under 40 are at all-time highs. The data is cooking itself. But the one that makes me laugh the hardest is when they say, fine, we'll just import men from other countries. And oh, you mean the men from cultures that still have traditional values, expect submission, expect virginity, or close to it, expect you to cook, clean, and raise children while they lead the house? The men who laugh at feminism, who would never tolerate a woman with a past, who think body counts over 5 make you permanently damaged goods? Those men? You sure you want them? Because those men are not coming here to worship you. They're coming here to conquer, lead, and build families with women who know how to follow. And when they see the average Western woman's attitude, dating history, debt load, and TikTok vocabulary, they're running back to their home countries faster than you can say, where are all the good men? The irony is thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Because while Western women were busy telling Western men to get lost, men in traditional countries were raising daughters who still believe in family, respect, femininity, and partnership. And now those women are getting snatched up by the same Western men who got fed up here, except now those men are doing it from a position of strength, abundance, and zero desperation. Passport bros didn't just happen by accident. They happened because men ran the numbers and realized they could fly to Colombia, Thailand, Poland, or the Philippines, be treated like kings by feminine, pleasant, loyal women who actually like men, and live like millionaires on a middle class salary. And they're never coming back either. Meanwhile, back home, the single mom industrial complex is in overdrive. Daycares are overflowing. OnlyFans is a Fortune 500 company. Credit card debt for women aged 25, 34 is higher than it's ever been. And the birth rate is in free fall. Because when you remove masculine energy from the equation, society doesn't become a matriarchal utopia. It becomes a slow motion train wreck with lipstick on. And the craziest part, men aren't even celebrating this. We're not dancing on the grave of the dating market. We're just relieved. We're sleeping better. We're making more money because we're not lighting it on fire to impress women who were never going to choose us anyway. We're getting in the best shape of our lives because we're not stress eating after arguments about things we didn't even do. We're traveling more because we're not stuck paying 2 rents and a car note for a girlfriend who says it's complicated. We're building wealth at a rate we never thought possible because every dollar stays in our own pocket. Instead of going to her hair appointments, brunches, and self-care trips to Tulum, we're reading books again. We're starting businesses. We're lifting heavier. We're laughing louder. We're living lighter. And women are watching this happen in real time, and they cannot figure out why the script flipped so fast. The answer is simple. You trained us. You trained us for decades. You told us our attention was worthless, so we stopped giving it. You told us our money was the only thing you respected, so we stopped spending it on you. You told us our protection was oppressive, so we stopped offering it. You told us our leadership was toxic, so we stopped leading. You told us our desire was creepy, so we stopped approaching. You told us our standards were unrealistic, so we stopped lowering them. You told us to go away over and over and over again in a million different ways. And eventually, we believed you. So we left, and now the silence is so loud, it's deafening. Now, when a woman posts a video crying about being single at 32, the top comment isn't, "You'll find someone, queen." It's, "Should have thought about that at 22." When she posts about how men won't approach her at the grocery store, the response isn't, "They're intimidated by your beauty." It's, "We're shopping, not hunting. You're not on the menu anymore." When she complains that dating apps are dead, men don't say, "Swipe right on me." They say, "Good, delete them. We did years ago." The power dynamic has inverted overnight, and women are experiencing male indifference at scale for the first time in modern history. And male indifference, once weaponized, is the single most powerful force on the planet, because you can shame a man, you can mock a man, you can cancel a man, you can divorce rape a man, but you cannot negotiate with a man who has nothing left to lose and everything to gain by walking away. And that is exactly where millions of us are right now. We have nothing to lose and peace to gain. So we're keeping the peace. And there is not a single force on earth strong enough to drag us back into the chaos we finally escaped. Not money, not sex, not guilt, not societal pressure, not government incentives, not crying TikToks, not shaming language, nothing. Because once a man tastes freedom, real freedom, the kind where his phone doesn't buzz with drama, his bank account goes up instead of down, his weekends are his own, his mind is quiet, his body is strong, and nobody is punishing him for existing. There is no offer you can make that will ever compete with that. You could line up 1,000 virgins on a beach in Bali and it still wouldn't move the needle, because it's not about sex anymore. It's not even about loneliness, it's about sovereignty. It's about owning your time, your energy, your future, your peace. And once a man owns that, he will burn the entire world down before he gives it back. That's the red line now. And women are just starting to realize the line was drawn in concrete years ago, and the concrete has fully cured. There is no going back. The men are gone, and we're not coming back, because the most hilarious part of this entire collapse is watching women try to negotiate with reality itself, as if biology, economics, and male nature are just going to shrug and say, "Okay, you're right. We'll rewrite the rules because you made a sad face on TikTok." They're out here acting like men walking away is some kind of malfunction that can be patched with a software update called "If Men Would Just Man Up Again." As if millions of men collectively deciding that peace is worth more than chaos is a glitch instead of the most rational decision any group of humans has ever made in recorded history. They keep saying men need to be taught how to date again. No, we already know how to date. We just don't want to date the women who are currently on the market. That's not ignorance. That's a preference. That's discernment. That's self respect. We're not broken. We're cured. And the coping strategies just keep getting more desperate. First, it was, "We don't need men anyway." Then, when the loneliness hit, it became, "Well, men are trash anyway." Then, when the wall got closer, it became, "Where are all the good men?" Then, when the good men didn't magically appear, it became, "Men are afraid of strong women." Then, when that didn't work, it became, "Men only want younger women." Then, when that still didn't bring the men running back, it became, "Fine, we'll just share the top 10% of men." And now we're at the final stage, bargaining, begging, threatening, guilt tripping, and straight up demanding that men return to the plantation because society needs families. Let's be crystal clear about something. Society doesn't need families built on lies, resentment, one sided contracts, and the threat of financial annihilation if the man ever decides he's had enough. That's not a family. That's a hostage situation with mood lighting. The nuclear family that built civilization wasn't built on women having unlimited options and zero accountability while men had zero options and total liability. It was built on mutual respect, mutual sacrifice, mutual loyalty, and mutual benefit. And the second one side decided they wanted all the benefits with none of the responsibility. The whole thing was doomed. You can't run a partnership like a subscription service where one side gets everything and the other side gets canceled the moment they stop paying. So when women say men need to step up and marry us, what they actually mean is men need to step up and accept the worst deal in human history. Because let's run the numbers real quick, just so nobody can say we're being emotional. A man today who decides to get married is signing up for a 50% plus chance of divorce, with 80% of divorces initiated by women, a 90% plus chance of losing primary custody of his children if it goes south, a 100% chance of paying alimony and child support for decades, even if she cheated or just got bored, a 0% chance of getting any financial support if he earns less than her, a legal system that treats him as guilty until proven innocent in any accusation, a culture that will call him a deadbeat if he can't pay, but will call her a strong single mom for collecting his checks, a social circle that will side with her no matter what actually happened, a dating history from her that he's not allowed to mention without being called insecure, a prenup that gets thrown out the second a judge feels like it, and a ring that costs 3 months' salary for a party that's really about her Instagram, not about building a life together. And in exchange for all of that risk, he gets what exactly? The privilege of paying for everything forever while she decides if she's still attracted 10 years in. The honor of raising children that might not even be his while she tells him paternity tests are toxic. The joy of coming home every night wondering which version of her he's getting based on how many likes her selfie got that day. Nah, we're good. Men looked at that contract, laughed, and walked away from the table. And the best part, we're not even asking for a better deal. We're done with the casino entirely. We're building our own table with our own rules in our own house. And nobody who helped rig the old game is invited. And now the panic is setting in at nuclear levels because women are starting to realize something terrifying. No, male cooperation is not mandatory. Male protection is not guaranteed. Male provision is not automatic. Male attention is not infinite. And once it's withdrawn at scale, there is no law, no shaming tactic, no government program, no amount of crying on the internet that can force it back. You can't legislate desire. You can't shame a man into thirst. You can't guilt a man into simping when he's already at peace. And you definitely can't threaten a man who has nothing to lose and everything to protect. That's checkmate. So now we're watching the final act of a play that started 50 years ago when they said, we don't need men. And men spent 5 decades politely saying, are you sure? While still showing up anyway. And now that men finally said, okay, bet, and actually left, the same voices are screaming, wait, no, come back, but only on our terms. Too late. The door closed, the lock clicked, the key got tossed in the ocean. And on the other side of that door, men are living the best years of their lives. They're buying houses cash because they never had to pay for her lifestyle. They're driving the cars they want because they're not paying 2 car notes and a mortgage for a woman who says, my money is my money and your money is our money. They're retiring in their 40s because they never had to fund her degree, her vacations, her business that never made a profit, or her healing journey to Bali. They're in the best shape of their lives because they're not drowning stress in beer and takeout after coming home to arguments every night. They're sleeping 8, 9 hours a night because nobody is blowing up their phone at 2 a.m. over something they posted in 2017. They're surrounded by other high value men who are also free, also at peace, also building, also winning. And the craziest part, they're happy, genuinely, deeply, quietly happy. Not the loud performative happiness of Instagram, but the kind of happiness that doesn't need to announce itself because it doesn't need validation. The kind of happiness that comes from knowing you're not being used, not being drained, not being disrespected, not walking on eggshells, not waiting for the other shoe to drop. Just peace. And women are watching this from the outside, like kids with their faces pressed against the glass of a candy store they can't get into anymore. They see the freedom, they see the joy, they see the bank accounts going up, they see the bodies getting better, they see the brotherhood, they see the calm confidence, and they want in. But the price of entry is something they were never willing to pay. accountability, loyalty, respect, femininity, humility, reciprocity. And since they're still not willing to pay it, they stay on the outside looking in, making videos about how men have changed instead of admitting the game changed because they broke it first. So they cope harder. They say, I'll just be the cool aunt with cats. They say, I'll just travel the world alone. They say, I'll just build my empire. They say, I'll just have a baby on my own. And every single one of those choices is celebrated by other women who are secretly terrified of the same future because admitting the truth would mean admitting they were wrong. And that's the one thing modern women have been trained never to do: admit they were wrong about anything ever. But the truth doesn't need their permission to be true. The truth is that a man who has tasted peace will never go back to chaos for any reason. The truth is that a man who has seen behind the curtain will never pay for the circus again. The truth is that a man who has built his life around his own mission will never rebuild it around a woman who thinks her presence is the mission. The truth is that the men are gone and the silence is permanent. And the truth is, the very last thing these men feel is loneliness. They feel free. Because the most dangerous thing a man can do in this current landscape is tell the truth out loud, especially when that truth is, I'm happier without you than I ever was with you. That single sentence is more terrifying to the modern feminine psyche than any insult ever could be, because insults can be dismissed as bitterness. Insults can be spun into, he's just mad he can't have me. But a man calmly, confidently, and consistently saying, I'm good, actually better than good. I'm thriving, and your absence is the reason. That cannot be spun. That cannot be shamed. That cannot be argued with. That can only be felt. And it is being felt by millions of women right now like a slow acting poison they never saw coming. They see the ones who spent years bragging about how disposable men were are now staring at the reality that the disposable ones turned out to be them. And the proof is everywhere if you have eyes to see it. So go look at any major dating app right now. The ratio is no longer 60/40, it's closer to 90/10 in most Western cities. And the 10% of men who are still active are the top shelf guys who already know they can do whatever they want. The average man has deleted the apps completely. He's not hiding, he's not working on himself as a cope. He's just done. He realized that swiping for 6 months to get one date that costs $200 and ends with, I'm not ready for anything serious, is a tax on his life he's no longer willing to pay. So he took his attention, his money, his time, and his energy, and he invested it all in himself. And the returns have been better than anything the dating market ever offered. Go look at any upscale bar or lounge on a Saturday night. The tables are full of groups of women celebrating girls' night for the 17th weekend in a row, while the men who are there are either already coupled up or they're there with their boys having actual conversations instead of scanning the room for prospects. The energy is completely different. The men aren't hunting anymore. They're not performing. They're not buying bottles to get attention. They're not approaching 10 women to maybe get one number that goes nowhere. They're just chilling, laughing, enjoying the night on their own terms. And if a woman wants to talk to them, she's going to have to walk over and make it obvious, because the days of men risking public humiliation for a smile that was never coming anyway are over. Go look at travel statistics. Solo male travel and male group travel are exploding. Entire resorts in Mexico, Dominican Republic, Thailand, and Colombia are now marketing directly to groups of American and European men who show up with cash, live together, eat steak, fish, golf, and leave without a single drama story to tell. Meanwhile, girls' trips are turning into drunken crying sessions on the balcony about how there were no good men at the resort. Of course, there weren't. The good men were at the resort next door. The one that doesn't allow influencers with ring lights screaming content every 5 seconds. Go look at home ownership numbers. Single men under 40 are now buying houses at a higher rate than single women for the first time in decades. Why? because they're not splitting their income with a girlfriend who doesn't believe in combining finances until marriage while still expecting him to pay for everything. They're not paying two rents so she can keep her independence. They're not buying $15 cocktails for women who ghost them the next day. Every dollar stays in their pocket, compounds, and turns into equity. And they're furnishing those houses exactly how they want: big TVs, gym in the garage, minimalist design, no throw pillows with words like blessed on them, no candles that smell like a bath and body works explosion. Just functional, clean, masculine comfort. Go look at gym membership data. Men are setting personal records left and right. Testosterone levels in young men are actually starting to rise again for the first time in decades, not because of steroids, though some, sure, but because chronic stress is way down when you remove the biggest source of cortisol modern men ever had. Modern women, sleep is better, nutrition is better, training is consistent. No more skipping leg day because babe said she wants to go out to eat again. No more, I can't make the gym tomorrow, because tonight is another 3 hour argument about why you followed some fitness model in 2016. Just iron, protein, sleep, repeat. And the results are speaking for themselves. Go look at entrepreneurial statistics. Men are starting businesses at the highest rate since the 1990s. Side hustles are turning into seven-figure companies because that energy that used to go into chasing women, managing women, recovering from women is now going into building something that actually respects the effort put in. No more staying at a soul crushing corporate job to provide for a woman who spends the money on DoorDash and designer purses she'll use twice. Men are betting on themselves, and the wins are stacking faster than anyone predicted. And the common thread in every single one of these trends: peace. That's the secret ingredient nobody wants to name. Peace is the ultimate luxury good in 2025. And men have figured out how to manufacture it in unlimited supply. The recipe is simple: remove chaos. And the biggest source of chaos for the average man in the 21st century was always the same: a woman who was never happy, never grateful, never loyal, and never at peace herself. So men did the math: chaos in, peace out, chaos out, peace in. And once a man has peace, he guards it like a dragon guards gold. He will not trade it. He will not negotiate it. He will not apologize for it. He will not feel guilty about it. He will not let anyone talk him out of keeping it. And women are losing their minds because they finally understand that the one thing they cannot compete with is a man who has found peace without them. Sex can't compete with peace. Attention can't compete with peace. Money can't compete with peace. Validation can't compete with peace. Even children, for a lot of these men, can't compete with peace because they've watched their fathers, brothers, and friends get destroyed raising kids who hate them because mom weaponized the court system the second she got bored. Peace is undefeated. And once a man has it, he becomes damn near bulletproof. That's why you're seeing this weird phenomenon now where women are trying every trick in the book to get a reaction, any reaction, out of men who have gone quiet. They're dressing more provocatively than ever in public and then getting mad when nobody looks. They're posting thirst traps with captions like, "Why don't men approach anymore?" They're starting arguments online just to see if the old men will jump in white knight. They're making videos saying, "If you're a real man, you'll do X," hoping the programming is still there. But the programming is gone. The hard drive got wiped. The matrix code got rewritten. And the new operating system only runs one program: protect the peace at all costs. So when she posts a video crying about being single, the men don't rush in with "DM me queen." They just keep scrolling. When she walks past in yoga pants, painted on, the men don't break their neck anymore. They just keep walking. When she says men are trash for the 4,000th time, the men don't argue. They just mute and move on. When she demands that men step up and court properly, the men don't explain why the game is dead. They just like the video and keep building their empire. Indifference at scale. That's the killer. And it's spreading faster than they can track. Because every day another man wakes up, looks around at his quiet apartment, his growing bank account, his jacked physique, his solid group of brothers, his full night's sleep, his zero drama, and he says to himself, why the hell would I ever go back? And then he tells his boys, and his boys tell their boys, and the message spreads like wildfire in a room full of gasoline. Stay single, stay focused, stay free, protect your peace, and the men are gone. And every day more join them. And there is no propaganda campaign strong enough, no law extreme enough, no amount of shaming, guilting, or begging that can reverse it. The dam didn't break. It got dismantled brick by brick, calmly, deliberately, permanently. And on the other side, living better than they ever dreamed possible. And the women who told them to leave, they're still standing in the empty room wondering why nobody wants to dance anymore. But the music stopped a long time ago, and the men took their instruments and went home. And they're never bringing them back. And here we are, the part nobody wants to say out loud. But every man who has walked away already feels in his soul like a second heartbeat. This is not a phase. This is not a protest. This is not a negotiation tactic. This is not men waiting for women to lower their standards. This is the single largest, quietest, most disciplined act of collective self preservation the modern world has ever seen. Millions of men across every Western country, across every income bracket, across every race and background, looked at the deal on the table, looked at the fine print, looked at the divorce statistics, looked at the TikTok rants, looked at the private Facebook groups, looked at the "Are we dating the same guy?" screenshots, looked at the paternity fraud stories, looked at the false allegation horror stories, looked at their own fathers who got destroyed, looked at their own friends who are shells of themselves paying child support for kids they see twice a month, looked at all of it, and with the calmest voice you have ever heard, said a single word: no, not maybe later, not if you change, not convince me, I'll just know. And then they turned around, walked out the door, locked it behind them, and started living the life they were always told they could only have with a woman by their side. And the craziest part, that life turned out to be infinitely better without her. That is the part that is breaking brains in real time. Because the entire system was built on one core lie: that a man is incomplete without a woman, that his success doesn't count unless there is a woman to show it off to, that his peace is worthless unless there is a woman creating the chaos, that his money has no value unless he is spending it on someone who will never appreciate it, that his legacy only matters if he has a son or daughter who might grow up to hate him because mom told them he was the villain. Every movie, every song, every commercial, every holiday, every tax break, every social script drilled it into men from birth. Your job is to chase, to provide, to protect, to sacrifice, to take the blame, to keep giving until there is nothing left, and then to be told you still didn't do enough. And men believed it. For decades, they believed it. They worked the extra jobs. They took the dangerous careers. They put their dreams on hold. They proposed with rings that cost more than a car. They moved across the country for her career. They became human doormats disguised as good men. They accepted disrespect as communication styles. They accepted cheating as we were on a break. They accepted being compared to other men as motivation. They accepted being replaced the same week they got dumped as her happiness matters more. They accepted all of it because they were told that was the price of love, the price of family, the price of being a real man. And then one day, enough men looked up from the slaughterhouse floor, covered in their own blood, and asked the simplest question in human history: what exactly am I getting out of this? And for the first time, nobody had an answer that wasn't wrapped in shame, guilt, or threats. So they walked, and the moment they stepped outside the slaughterhouse, they realized the air was cleaner, the sun was brighter, the food tasted better, sleep came easier, money stacked faster, laughter came louder, and life, actual life, finally began. And now the same voices that spent decades screaming, "We don't need you," are screaming, "Wait, come back. We didn't mean it." But the men are too far down the road to even hear them anymore. They're on a different frequency now, the frequency of peace, the frequency of abundance, the frequency of self respect, the frequency of my life is mine. And on that frequency, the noise doesn't reach, the begging doesn't land, the tears don't move the needle, the threats don't scare, the shaming bounces off like rain on a windshield. Because a man at peace is the most unstoppable force nature ever created. You can take his job, he'll get another one. You can take his house, he'll buy a better one. You can take his reputation, he'll build a new one with men who actually respect results. You can take his kids, he'll still send the checks and become the kind of man his sons will one day look for when they need a blueprint. But you cannot take his peace once he has decided it is non negotiable. And that is exactly what has happened. Millions of men have drawn the hardest line in the sand any generation has ever drawn. And that line is made of one word: peace. Everything on this side of the line is mine. Everything on the other side can burn for all I care. And women are finally starting to understand that the line is real, the line is permanent, and the line is growing longer every single day. As another man wakes up, looks at the deal, says hard pass, and steps over the line and never looks back. There is no speech that will bring them back. There is no law that will force them back. There is no amount of propaganda that will shame them back. There is no economic collapse that will scare them back. There is no birth rate crisis argument that will guilt them back. There is no "who will protect us" sob story that will duty them back. Because every single one of those levers only worked when men still believed they needed women more than women needed them. And that belief is dead, buried, cremated, ashes scattered in the wind. The belief is never coming back because men have seen the promised land. And the promised land has a home gym, a stocked fridge, a fat investment account, a passport full of stamps, a circle of brothers who would die for each other, and zero female drama within a 100-mile radius. And once you have lived in the promised land, you don't volunteer to go back to Egypt just because Pharaoh's daughter is crying that the pyramids aren't getting built fast enough. You stay free, you stay building, you stay winning, you stay at peace, and you let the consequences fall where they may. Because here is the final truth that nobody wants to say, but every man who has walked away already knows is 100% true. Society doesn't collapse when men walk away. Society collapses when men stop caring if it collapses. And that is exactly where we are right now. Men have stopped caring, not out of hatred, not out of revenge, not out of bitterness, out of clarity, out of exhaustion, out of self respect, out of the simple realization that their lives are better, happier, richer, freer, stronger, and more meaningful without the chaos than they ever were with it. And once that switch flips, it doesn't flip back ever. So to every woman watching this who spent the last decade telling men to get lost, to leave you alone, to stop looking, to stop approaching, to stop leading, to stop providing, to stop protecting, to stop caring, congratulations, you won. You got exactly what you asked for. You are now free to live in the world you demanded. A world without male attention you didn't explicitly invite. A world without male provision you didn't earn. A world without male protection you mocked. A world without male leadership you called toxic. A world without male sacrifice you called entitlement. Enjoy it, because the men, we're good. We're better than good. We're thriving. We're laughing. We're building. We're lifting. We're stacking. We're traveling. We're winning. We're sleeping like babies, and we're never, ever coming back. Not for tears, not for threats, not for laws, not for tradition, and not for kids, not for society, not for anything. The age of male sacrifice without reciprocity is over. The age of male thirst without standards is over. The age of male guilt without accountability is over. The age of men trading their peace for your chaos is over. The new age has begun. The age of men walking away. The age of men choosing peace over everything. The age of men building lives so good that the old deal looks like slavery in comparison. And that age is not ending in our lifetime, it's just getting started. So, to every man watching this right now who is still on the fence, who is still caught in the matrix, who is still trying to negotiate with chaos, who is still hoping she'll change, who is still paying for the privilege of being disrespected, hear me clearly. There is a better life waiting for you on the other side. All you have to do is walk. Take the step, close the door, protect your peace, and never look back. Because once you taste it, once you really taste it, you will realize the greatest red pill of all wasn't about women. It was about you. You were always enough. You never needed them to complete you. You only needed to stop letting them destroy you. And the second you do, the entire game changes forever. So walk, King, walk. The promised land is real. And it's yours the second you decide it is. What did you think about all this? Do you agree? Do you see it playing out in your own city, your own friend group, your own life? Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from and what you're seeing on the ground, because I read every single one. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.